out of college, I got the best job possible for my major. Everyone was like, whoa, no way, congrats, man, all this stuff. And it was the worst decision of my life. 6 months into it, I am just sitting there like, what am I even doing? This is horrible. And I want to explain to you, if you're trying to figure out your career right now, maybe idolizing that great company, or you're in college looking for that next move, so many of you are actually setting yourself up to fail, and I want to explain why. First and foremost, if you want to be an entrepreneur, this applies to you. If you want to be a corporate person that works your way up the corporate ladder, like I naively and stupidly thought I wanted when I was that age, this video is probably not for you. But if you have any type of thought of, I'm going to work for 3 to 5 years and ultimately start my own company, you need to understand like what I'm about to walk you through. Thought I was hot shit, had everyone being like, wow, and then I get to the corporate world, I realize I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, but this is where so many smart and driven people really get lost, and they wake up 5 to 8 years down the line and they don't even recognize themselves. All that drive and desire they had to start their own business is completely gone. And it's because when you're around other smart, high achieving types, you don't realize you're not playing the right game. And what I mean is, I was very clear that I wanted to start my own thing. I was a student athlete in college. I helped start a couple clubs. I was very involved, and I very much enjoyed being part of like new things. And for some reason, I thought I would enjoy going to a mega corporation, Fortune 1000 company, super renowned for all these things, and I get there and I hate it because all of a sudden I realize people's incentives are not aligned to creating like value or actually doing the job exceptionally well. Everyone in the large companies, regardless of where you go, especially if it's like an engineering track or a very, heavy schooling, STEM type of background, every single person, whether they admit it or not, early on feels a ton of pressure to promote and get a manager title or promote to the next role. And all you're doing is optimizing for the game of how do I get to a promotion. And we are so used to, as really high performing students, as very driven people, of getting a tangible outcome. And the idea that you could just work in a job and kind of explore something for 2 to 3 years and not worry about promotion and do something that you're actually aligned to is so far-fetched and so just opposite of the way you've been wired. But as you get 5 to 8 years down into your career, you start to realize that, hey, maybe even if you're making 150 to 200K, that's it. That's it. That's all you've ever done. And now you've spent the last 5 to 8 years trying to, position yourself for promotions, trying to be the smartest person on the team, trying to deliver extra results. And you're doing so in a way that oftentimes at these big companies just serves a business process. It serves a dashboard. It serves a outcome for a business, not an actual revenue generating activity for an individual who wants to buy your stuff. So again, for those of you that actually want to start your own business, the message here is not necessarily don't take that job, because I do think if you break into Google or you break into Amazon, you have instant credibility, but you need to just make peace with the fact that you are not climbing corporate America. You are not going to get into the corporate politics and try and climb the fucking ladder. You need to be happy that you're making like 100K or 150K right out of school, and you need to start learning how to do well in that job for a year or two so you can maybe get 1 or 2 title promotions and you can go from 100 to 200-ish if you're lucky. From there, as soon as you're there, you need to dial back how hard you're working in corporate America, and by the time you're 24 to 25, you need to be trying and failing your ass off, because there are so many people now that I'm a full-time entrepreneur that I worked with that are making 300, 400K a year easy, and they are coming to me and saying, I can't do this shit anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, hey, if there's anything I can do to help your business, like, please let me know. And the reality is, and what you don't want to admit, as a high-performing individual who is a straight-A student, who got the great job, who became a manager at 23, who promoted to like a VP by the age of 28, you're a great resume for Thanksgiving dinner, you can't even fathom starting at zero. You cannot fathom starting a business, because all of a sudden, when you start a business and you make a post, because, hey, I started a business, I should grow a social media channel, so let me make a post today and see what happens. And when no one buys your shit for 6 months, you have developed for the last 10 to 15 years a muscle that is completely oriented around getting approval from someone ahead of you that holds a little carrot that's a promotion or a title that you don't have that you want. When you start your own business, nobody cares about who you are, nobody's gonna buy your products, no one cares unless you make something that actually works. And that is the hardest thing in the world, because you're not even going to know where to even get your first customer, because you've always been in an environment where you're always getting feedback. You're always getting feedback. You're not in an environment where you need to figure out how to even get attention to even get feedback in the first place. So I'm going to cut myself off for there. I'm going to make a ton more of these videos, guys, but hopefully for those of you that are like the super smart oriented types that want to make a company, again, I am not knocking the value of working at a great organization for a year or two for many different reasons. But you need to understand, when you get in that, it is a snake pit of people playing a fundamentally different game than you. And if you get sucked into that, if you keep saying, hey, I'm going to promote this year, and then you get that, and you're like, oh, but if I did another year and a half, I'd be making $400K. Next thing you know, you're 31, your testosterone levels have gone down if you're not taking care of yourself because you've been working 12 hours a day. You have way less drive. You are not driven. And the idea of going from $400K to $0 is impossible. So hopefully that helps like 1% of you that made it this far. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.